So I grew up and was born in Mexico City. I grew up there with my family till I was 10 years old, and when I was 10, my mom and dad decided to move to the United States. We moved to Houston and ended up being one of the best decisions the family ever made. But looking back on it, it's really easy to see how much risk they took in making that decision, but it's been one of the best decisions we made for the entire family, for me and my three sisters. We landed in Houston, didn't speak a word of English. We had to attend school and kind of learn on the fly, right? And I was fortunate that I was in 5th grade, so when I was in 5th grade, I had a homeroom teacher for the entire day. So, and Miss Hawley spoke a little bit of Spanish, so we could at least communicate and figure things out. My older sister, Anna, believe it or not, she got to be in 6th grade with different class periods. And so for the first 2 weeks, my sister would go to the bathroom and wait for the end of the day because she didn't know where to go, didn't understand the schedule, couldn't communicate. So, a little bit of traumatic experiences as we got here, but we all adjusted, assimilated, and it's turned out for the best. I'll tell you, the biggest challenge probably was just arriving here and not having much orientation or bearings, not speaking the language. When we left Mexico City, my mom had bought 2 or 3 uniforms she said, hey, I don't know how things are going to go economically for us, let me buy 2 or 3 sets of uniforms. So, in Mexico City, we wore gray polyester pants and a white shirt, button up, and a little sweater and some black patent leather shoes with dress socks. And so I had to wear that for a long time, just because it's just, the clothes we had to wear, right? So you were already the kind of odd kid that didn't speak the language, didn't really know, the customs and the culture, and now you wore fun clothes. So, those were some challenging times, but at the end of the day, you look back on them and this just sort of built character, right? It sort of said, hey, we're gonna go through and do whatever it takes and figure it out. And I remember one of the happiest days in those early days was just my first pair of cut-off jean shorts with some tube socks and some tennis shoes, because it was like, you kind of wanted to fit in. So I attended Texas A&M University and I received an industrial engineering degree. It was a very rewarding day when I walked the stage, just because we had to pay for our own college. My parents really couldn't help financially. So throughout my 4 years there, 5 years there, I ended up having to work part-time, 20 hours or so, waiting tables. I'll tell you a funny story. There was a couple of times where I didn't have enough money to pay for my dry clean shirt, which was a requirement to show up to work. So I worked at a steakhouse and you had to have a starched shirt, otherwise you couldn't work the shift. And so I would show up and ask the lady behind the counter if she could just loan me the shirt, and I would pay her the 79 cents the next day. And she did that for me a couple of times. But it was really just out of necessity, right? It was something I had to do. But again, when I walked the stage, it's one of the proudest days, just because of how much it meant to me, because I had to work so hard, persevere and get through that process. Ended up studying industrial engineering at Texas A&M University, which has really led to why I was hired into AT&T, Southwestern Bell Telephone at the time. A lot of the ability for me to afford and give things to my family have come through my career and my education, without a doubt, 100%. We end up, designing strategy. How do you go to market? What are the playbooks you build? What are the plays you run? Meaning, what are the conversations that you have with your customers? And so, it's really, you just like a coach, run practice, and you practice the play and you execute the play on 3rd and short or 2nd and long, whatever the situation may be. So it's a lot of that, right? And you're competing, right? You're competing to grow the business and be able to close that deal, right? So it's very much a lot of the analogies that take place in sports happen in business every day. My advice really would begin with building a solid foundation with your education. I mean, I think the greatest equalizer in this country is education. I think once you can get that education, open up the door with those college degrees, that will never be compromised. Once you're in, I think we work really hard. We're very hardworking people, and I think that I would put us up against anybody to outwork them, right? So we've got it in our blood to outwork whoever or whatever we've got in front of us, right? Whatever challenge. So I think when you combine both the education component with our work ethic and our passion for the work that you're doing, nothing can stop us. So that's my advice: is just get those 2 or 3 things aligned, and the rest is for your success. I spoke earlier of when I first got to this country, and we didn't speak the language, and we might not have worn the same clothes, and we didn't really understand the customs. I mean, I think one of the things that I learned was how to assimilate, how to evaluate, and really analyze the environment you're in. So is it maybe having a more direct conversation with your supervisor? Is it networking across multiple organizations? Is it getting differentiated from the peer group by doing above and beyond, doing special projects? Is it volunteering for that extra assignment or that extra project? Is it doing something for the community that gets you noticed? I think there's a lot of different ways in which you can stand out, and I would just challenge that individual not to look for excuses or feel like, why me or why am I a victim, but how do you proactively change the dynamic so that it moves in your favor and you do get noticed moving forward. Well, it's a wonderful time to celebrate our heritage, right? I think when I look back on my experiences, from the sacrifices my parents made, from the journey that we made, for everything they gave up so that me and my sisters could have everything that's been in front of us. Myself, my sisters all ended up going through college, have been able to be, carve out their own path and be very successful. But I do think it's really about family, right? I mean, I think at the end of the day, heritage is family, and I think there's really not much of a tighter bond than a Hispanic, family that really cares for each other, loves for each other, is there for each other no matter what. I think even through all of the years, all the experiences, we still have that tight-knit bond that'll never go away. So when I think about Hispanic Heritage Month, I think about my family. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor, and again, just have a great Hispanic Heritage Month.